Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I still can't actually see you there. Is anybody there? Are people watching? See, we got a lot of people in the chat hopping on. I was hoping we'd have a lot of people for this show because this show is revisiting all the songs on what I believe is the album that really put us on the map. It came out in 2013, and it is The Sam Chase Will Never Die. Coming 1 year after The Sam Chase Will Lead Us to Victory. And after Will Lead Us to Victory came out, I felt like there was only a certain amount of time that we had to come out with our next album before people might move on and find another favorite artist. So I wanted to make sure that we hit them that next year with another full-length album. And a lot of the songs that were on this album were either songs that were on the very first album, which is hella solo, like songs like Color of Bone, and was there another song from hella solo? Actually, maybe not. But a lot of songs that were older songs that I wasn't necessarily planning on recording or putting on any albums. And then a bunch of other songs that I didn't really feel like necessarily fit together. And I didn't realize until after the album was done that the songs that didn't really fit together with any other album really fit together well with each other. The album was recorded at a studio that is no longer standing in Soma, and the name is escaping me at the moment, at Faultline Studios in San Francisco. And it was engineered and mixed by Kyle McGraw and released on May 31st, 2013. And it was cool because it was kind of, our first time really being in a professional studio that we were actually like paying to be there, and working with people that we hadn't really met before, engineers that we hadn't really met before. So it was kind of like learning how to, how to communicate with them while also creating an album together. And Kyle was super cool, Kyle McGraw, who recorded this. And little known fact, actually nobody knows this, but here's a fact that if you find your copy of The Sam Chase Will Never Die, and it doesn't say mastered by Michael Romanowski, who ended up mastering the album down the line, that means that you have the very first, I think, 250 or 300 albums that were ever printed of this, because the very first 300 albums were mastered by Kyle McGraw as well. And the mastering job just didn't really work out once it was printed to CD and everything. We listened to it, it just didn't sound that great. So I got the tracks and remastered it immediately through Michael Romanowski. And the album that you have, if you have the Michael Romanowski cover, is what you hear on Spotify and all the other things. If you have one of the very, very old ones, that isn't mastered by Michael Romanowski, you are one of the select couple hundred, I think, because I didn't sell all 300. I think I ended up actually throwing the rest of them away because I didn't want to sell something that wasn't the remastered version. And this also was the first album that we recorded that actually had like a full band, as known as the Functional Alcoholics at the time. But it was the main setup of the band. It wasn't me doing most of the instruments or anything like that. And so that iteration of the band was me, and it was Ariel Adeli on vocals, John Lydon on bass and vocals, Jack Carr, drums, mandolin, vocals, Devin McClive on the cello, Doug Pett on the saxophone, Justine Leitling on violin, Benjamin Corey on the banjo, and Ben Yadvakis on the piano, accordion, and organ. Oh yeah, and Kyle McGraw did the very beginning, the first notes of this album, that kind of dreamy sound that you hear right before Sold My Soul to the City starts, is Kyle McGraw on the harmonica and pump organ. And you might not even be able to tell that it's a harmonica. He just played the harmonica into the mic and made a bunch of crazy notes and stuff. I don't think he's much of a harmonica player. And then we just kind of took those notes and picked the notes that we liked and kind of put it together like a puzzle. And put a bunch of reverb on it, stretched it out so it didn't really sound like a harmonica as much anymore. Another little known fact. Probably nobody knows that fact either, because nobody remembers. But this is the first song on the album. Song on this album is I Sold My Soul to the City. Now, I Sold My Soul to the City is a little bit of a love letter to San Francisco, written through the eyes of the people who aren't from San Francisco, who moved to San Francisco and turned San Francisco into their hometown. Like, people come from all over the place, and you people who moved to San Francisco don't really think that people are actually from San Francisco. So when you meet a native from San Francisco, you're always like, whoa, I didn't know that you people existed. I'm like, yeah, we look just like everybody else, mostly. But people come from all over, and they move to San Francisco. And even though they have hometowns of their own, after a certain amount of time of living in San Francisco grows on you like a fungus, like a beautiful fungus. And eventually, it seeps into your pores and into your bloodstream and reconfigures your DNA so that you're no longer from whatever hometown you came from. Now, your hometown is San Francisco. I'd say that most people that live here for at least 10 years, when people say, where are you from? At that point, you say San Francisco. And I think it's cool. You know, I don't know what it's like to have a hometown that doesn't constantly change underneath my feet and all around me every decade or so. But it's cool. I mean, maybe it's one of the reasons why I haven't moved out of San Francisco in a long time, because I get to live in a new city every 5 or 10 years, you know? And, people kind of treat this city as like their own personal adult playground. And it takes a while for them to actually like have respect for the city underneath their feet and all around them. And so this song kind of goes out to those people. And it's not necessarily a diss, but it's also, not really like looking at them in the most positive light, but it's a human light. My first foot in the city, I promised I wouldn't sell my soul. The day I stepped that one first foot in the city, Oh, I promised I wouldn't sell my soul. But when the lights and the scene, they shine down onto me, I swear to you that night I saw the light. Now if the devil comes a-calling, you can give him my apartment, and I will sign right on that dotted line. Well, my mama always said those girls of the city aren't those kind of girls we'd like for you to see. My mama always said, son, don't get too busy, oh, those girls sure don't know what's best for me. But when those girls showed me the gifts they gave me for free, oh, I swear it brought a tear to my eye. Now if this whiskey and women don't kill me, I'm certain, then it's pretty clear that I will never die. Well, it's pretty clear that I will never die. After all that I've done, all that I've seen, good luck putting me down in the ground. 'Cause I have lived and laughed and loved and gambled, boozed and stolen, enough to tear any grown man down. And oh Lord, oh, look at what your boy's done tonight. So now if you have words for me, oh, you can take it up with us three. Oh, me, my left hook and my right. So now if you have words for me, oh, you can take it up with us three. Oh, me, my left hook and my right. I know so many people. I mean, that song is really, it's about a handful of people in my life that were not from San Francisco, but over the course of many years became San Franciscans. And that's, you know, kind of a retelling of how they treated the city in those beginning years. And, I mean, I look back fondly on hanging out with those folks, too. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you get to kind of live vicariously through their wonder and their excitement of being in a new, big, crazy metropolitan city with so much history, you know? And part of it maybe is about me just being a grown-up. You know, I spent my whole childhood in San Francisco, and being a kid in San Francisco is very, very different from being a grown-up in San Francisco. And so then when I went to college over in Santa Cruz, which isn't that far away really anyways, coming back to San Francisco afterwards and moving, you know, into the heart of the city and, you know, living with friends and all that, I did kind of get to see what those people see when they move to San Francisco. It was almost as if I was one of them too, because I had never experienced San Francisco as a grown-up in that way. So, you know, maybe it's also a little bit about me and my experience of being a fresh, new, young adult. Also, when you live in Santa Cruz for 5 years, you kind of become a different person. You're a little slowed down. Where this next song came from, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. And this song was written kind of about those years of my first handful of years of living in San Francisco as an adult and taking advantage of all the things that a young adult can do in San Francisco. And it's funny, it's like some people try to surround themselves with friends in high places, and it's like good to have a lawyer and a doctor friend and a mechanic friend, and people that can help you kind of get by with their skill set. You can always like call on when you're in trouble and you need help or something. Well, I feel like a bartender is one of those folks too. And while I probably should have had a dentist friend, I had way more bartender friends. And the thing about bartender friends is they save you a bunch of money, so that when you do need to go to the dentist, you can get that good dentist that knows how to clean the teeth real well. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is you drink for free. And I drank for free a lot because I made friends with a lot of bartenders. And that's kind of where this song came from. Many, many stories I could tell you, but we don't have all day. I mean, we do have all day, but I don't want to tell you. But as you know, this song is called Rock Bottoms Never Felt So Good. Oh, we've all got our problems, we all have pockets to fill. We got our grocery lists and things we've missed to pay our cell phone bills. But I spend my nights on the bar seat where my friends bartend, so I drink for free until the world starts spiraling and I'm poured into the street. And I can see it all go down from the lights of this town. It is lighting my descent and all the times that I have spent misunderstood. Rock bottoms never felt so good. Maybe I should start this over, maybe try doing it sober. Swear tonight will be the night that I will not wake up hungover. But all of a sudden the sun is rising, and it's not very surprising that I'm lying on the roof, drinking Jack and railing lines, and I can see it all go down from the lights of this town. It is lighting my descent and all the times that I have spent misunderstood. Rock bottoms never felt so good. Rock bottoms never felt so good. Whoa, whoa, whoa. They say you can't do this forever. I don't intend to prove them wrong. But even the longest lives don't really last for very long. So I'll live it while I've got it, and what I've got I'm living fine. But when you tell your kids your stories, they'd all rather hear mine. 'Cause I've seen the sunrise from a million different pairs of eyes, and I smoked many a cheap cigar, drank many more cheaper wines. And oh, you don't seem so impressed, at least as far as I can tell. But I can play guitar and sing, and I can do it pretty well. And I owe every lyric, or every riff and every song to all the things that I have done, even when most of them were wrong. But that is just my life, when nothing ever seems enough. You can tell me what you will about my ways, and I'll politely tell you to fuck off. And I can see it all go down from the lights of this town. It is lighting my descent and all the times that I have spent misunderstood. Rock bottoms never felt so good. Rock bottoms never felt so good. Oh, rock bottoms never felt so good. Woo! It's already getting warm in here. We're only 2 songs in. Rock bottoms never felt so good. Now, I thought that was going to be the big hit off of this album. I mean, the song has withstood the test of time, and I think it's probably my most popular song in terms of what gets called out at shows for obvious reasons. But this next song is really what put this album on the map. And I don't necessarily play it every show. For a long time, it kind of fell off the map for me because while it put us up at the heights of which we have achieved, the fame and fortune which we have achieved, its shelf life wasn't as long as Rock Bottom's, as far as I've noticed. But I'll tell you a little story about this song. I wanted to write a playful little song. I was writing all these depressing songs and writing all these dark songs, and kind of wanted to write kind of a funny little, quirky little song about living in a perfect world. And the original way that it started was, how did it go? It was much blander. If you keep your options open, there are places you will go. You know, kind of like that. And they will treat you like the kings and queens your parents thought you'd be when you were born. See it all with your head up standing tall. You look back and think it's funny how you spent your time and money. You know, kind of like a one-note song the whole way through. And I showed it to our drummer, Jack, and he said to me, he was like, it's good, but I feel like it's boring. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, I don't know, it's just the way you sing it, it's a little boring. And I was like, well, how should I sing it? He was like, I don't know, just try something else. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just go to the most absurd and then we'll dial it back. And I was like, if you keep your options open, there are places you will go. They will treat you like the kings and queens your parents thought you'd be when you were born. And he was like, yes, like that. And I was like, really? That's like, I was like thinking we'd dial it back from there. He's like, no, that's it. And so that's how the song really got its melody. And we recorded the song, and it kind of, sat on the album for a while. And then I got this email one day, and it was from these two guys I'd never heard of, and they had this YouTube channel, and they were from Great Britain and wanted to use In a Perfect World for one of their YouTube videos. And it was around Christmas time, and so I think I responded in some snarky way. I was like, you guys, it's the holidays. You can take the song, because they were willing to pay for it. And I was like, just take the song. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. And they're like, wow, thank you so much. We'll definitely credit you in the description of the video on YouTube. And I was like, don't worry about it. So time goes by, and I forget that I even responded to the email. And maybe a few months later, I'm sitting at my desk doing something, editing something, and all of a sudden my phone just starts blowing up. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I'd pick up my phone, just vibrating constantly, and it's all these Twitter notifications. And I didn't even know I had a Twitter. Like, I'd forgotten that I even signed up for Twitter at that point. I never used Twitter, and the app was sitting on my phone, just kind of dormant. Like, I hadn't even opened the app in probably a year or two. And so I was like, what is going on Twitter? And so I went onto Twitter, and I saw that these two guys had posted their video on YouTube. And what I didn't know was they were like these two like twin brothers who go on adventures, and they make just like these crazy viral videos. And they're just followed by, they have like 4 million subscribers, 5 million subscribers on YouTube, and then 5 million people on Twitter and all that. And I didn't know. And so they had posted the video, and they posted the video on Twitter with a link to my Twitter saying this song is sung by the Sam Chase, yada yada yada. And so people just went crazy over the song because it like finished the whole video. It was in the credits and everything, and so people just started retweeting the song like crazy, and it just blew up over the course of those next few months. And you could probably watch the video. It's just like young guys driving a rickshaw through India, was called, the brother's last name is Harry's, or Harris, or something like that. The Rickshaw Run, I believe the video is called. It was the final video. It's like the fourth of the series of that. And so that song really put us on the map, and that's what, you know, got us play all over the world. And it turns out that people use Twitter a lot more than I thought. So here's the song that I've forgotten about until all these 14-year-olds reminded me. The song is called In a Perfect World. Options open, there are places you will go. They will treat you like the kings and queens your parents thought you'd be when you were born. You'd see it all with your head up standing tall, and you look back and think it's funny how you spent your time and money in this world, living in this perfect world. Everyone can write a song. Let me tell you, mister, you should always talk to strangers, 'cause you never really know the brilliant things that you might hear, like all the fall of civilizations told by far-off constellations. Oh, we all aren't really here, just quantum-sized good vibrations in this world, living in this perfect world. Even strangers sing along. Options open, there are places you will go. It might be hell, it might be heaven, it might be nothing, maybe something else, who knows? I can't really say for sure, 'cause I've never really been dead before, but I guess someday I'll know it, or perhaps maybe I won't. Oh, in this world, living in this perfect world. Oh, in this world, living in this perfect world. Will ever die. Ooh, oh, 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 ooh, oh, oh, I hear there's a little bit of static. Let me listen back here, see what we got. Not only do we have static, but it looks like we also have a ton of lag. This was something that I was afraid of actually earlier today. I was having an issue with this right before we went on, and I felt like, well, we just got to do it. Actually, I wonder... Nah, it's probably has to do with the fact that... Is this maybe... No, it's charging. I think maybe if I just unplug and plug back in the interface, let's try that. Which, by the way, I bought a new interface, so I should have a new interface pretty soon. I have a new microphone now. Let me see, actually. Let me check. The fact that, is this maybe, no, it's charging. Okay. Let me unplug this. Sorry about that. Man, that was not the sound I was expecting either. Check, check, check. There we go. Yeah, that was loud. That sucked. I'm sorry about that. All right, but I think we're back, yeah? Let's see. I should be talking pretty soon. There we go. Sorry about that. Man, that was not the sound I was expecting either. Yeah, all right, we're back. It's always on the shows that I feel like are going the best that technology just takes a dump on us. You know, but I got this brand new mic that's going to make my vocals sound way better. I got a new interface and preamp that's going to come that hopefully will work all the time rather than just most of the time and then cause your ears to bleed and chopper sounds to ruin the show. And hopefully that will be coming in and we'll be here for next week. So hopefully I'll have that all dialed in by then. But yeah, let me know if that happens again. Hopefully it didn't ruin In a Perfect World for you guys. I didn't notice until I looked at the end of the song and saw your comments there. But you know, things like this new microphone and the new interface that's coming couldn't be possible without viewers like you who have donated over the last 46 shows to my PayPal and Venmo, and I basically take that money and pay my bills and also pour it back into creating music. For the past week, I've been recording a new album that I'm going to be giving straight to my Patreon patrons, and it won't be going to anybody else. I think I'm actually going to print it on CDs and send it to everybody at the $10 level as well. So anybody that hasn't signed up for my Patreon yet, go to patreon.com/thesamchase and sign up for my Patreon to be able to get access to that album that I've been recording all week. And I'm recording vocals on this brand new microphone, and it's sounding great. Hopefully, we won't have any more issues like that for the rest of the show, at least, and hopefully also not have any more issues in future shows because the equipment will be better. But moving on, in a perfect world, we won't hear those chopper noises. I was wondering where Spencer was. Fell asleep, huh? Well, you only fell asleep for the first 3 songs, so you're here now. And you missed the horrible technical difficulties that we had to overcome just a few minutes ago. Maybe that's what woke you up. So this next song is probably, let me think, Yeah, it's the oldest song on this album. And I wrote this song, God, I was probably, how old was I when I wrote this song? How old was I when this album came out? I was probably about 25 years old when I wrote the song. And this song really is what got my friends on board with this type of music. I was playing punk rock music for years, and my friends didn't really care for it because they weren't really punk rock kids, you know. And I wrote and recorded this song, and I didn't show it to any of them because I was a little nervous about it. I was kind of embarrassed about it, about wearing my heart on my sleeve and playing softer music than I was accustomed to and what I wanted to be known for. And it wasn't until I had my iPod on shuffle in my car one day and a bunch of friends in my car, and I got out to get gas, and when I got back in, this song was playing through the iPod in my stereo, and my friends all kind of looked at me and they were like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah. And I tried to turn the song off or change the song, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, it's nothing, it's just a song I've been working on." And they were like, "Can we hear the rest of it?" And I was like, yeah, sure. And I played them the rest of the song, and they were like, "I really like that song." And that was the version that you hear on the album Hella Solo, which you can get on the Bandcamp. And up to that point, I had only recorded all my songs in my bedroom and had no intention of showing them to anybody. And so I showed them basically all of the songs that would then make up Hella Solo a few years from then. This is the path. Stop playing the punk rock music. And so, it took me another few years to really get the message about the punk rock music, but I did start playing these songs out a little bit more. And it was because of this song, I really think, that is what pushed me on the path towards this style of music. This song is called Color of Bone. Destruction, and we lived through a war. Our future was longer than our past ever was. We saw purpose where we hadn't before. So we lit a fire so the world could see our eyes from the wreckage. We wore the ashes like scars buried deep in our hands. We lit it as a sign to the ones left behind of a future. We had no idea what we were doing, and we didn't care. At least we were there. Life that is long, hearts will be broken, things will be lost, lies will be told. Fights will be fought, what you own will be stolen. Your body will slow, soon you grow old. We still believe that the moments we live are forever. Try not to think there's a moment that it all will end. There are lines that have formed that were not there before to remind me. Even temples will crumble, it's only a matter of when. A matter of when. and all of its worth is returned to the earth and the sea. And all you say will be forgotten someday. But I'll sit here and listen to enjoy how the story is told. It's really all such a laugh. What we do for a good epitaph. All leaving my wills, a few pictures and bills, and the rest do with what you want. But my headstone will read, here lies a beloved guitar, buried with its hands that belong to a man who could play it like a goddamn machine. Oh, you can dress me in clothes that I'd never have worn to address you. You can give me away to that freshly dug grave of mine. Oh, you can say I'll live on in the hearts of the ones who remember, 'cause I'm nestled away, my coffin the color of bone, the color of bone, the color of bone. This next song was definitely really influenced by the music of Ennio Morricone and spaghetti western music specifically. And it was that inspiration which obviously led to most of the music that was on The Last Rites of Dallas Pistol. But I think that this was probably like the first draft of me trying to write music like him. Music that kind of brought out that type of desolate Americana emotion. And it's about a person looking back on an old diary of a distant relative and realizing that a whole life can be lived in just the pages of one book. And after it's over, who carries on that legacy but the reader, perhaps gleaning some sort of heroic knowledge from it. And I kind of wanted to write a song that then, the listener, after listening to a song like this, can glean that sort of heroic knowledge, kind of carry on the feelings of the song and live that sort of adventurous life through the lyrics of the song, through the way that the song makes them feel. So I wanted to write a very heroic song in honor of the heroic ancient ancestor. So this song's called kept a diary until the day he died. He wrote of dreams he had, those memories were never built to last. And every page that passed outlived the man who's there to give them life. And there was soul on every curve of each letter in each word, and I knew then that that's just what he meant. And all those times I should have died were all those times I felt alive. I am a lucky one, and I won't throw it all away just to live another day. Someday that day will come. I'll take that ghost train out of town, or I'll look back and take a bow, and I'll know just where I've been and where I'm going. But for now I don't know. Long before I was born, he wrote a line of a love some would feel if they'd lived a fortunate life. You should have seen that smile I had on my face with her that one immortal night. How I cursed at the moon for not being bright enough to shed more light. Lucky for me, my fingers don't need eyes to see, and so then they showed me the light. And all those times I should have died were all those times I felt alive. I am a lucky one, and I won't throw it all away just to live another day. Someday that day will come. I'll take that ghost train out of town, I'll look back and take a bow, and I'll know just where I've been and where I'm going. But for now I don't know. Oh, I don't know. The day he left this world, his story ended and his last page turned. And when I saw that was lost from the man who had such thoughts I felt as empty as the paper, I yearned for one more day, and so I picked up his pen. It felt so heavy in my shaky right hand. So now I guess it's up to me to extend his legacy, make sure the love and life he lived weren't lived in vain. And all those times I should have died were all those times I felt alive. I am a lucky one, and I won't throw it all away just to live another day. Someday the day will come. I'll take that ghost train out of town, and I'll look back and take a bow, and I'll know just where I've been and where I'm going. But for now I don't know. I don't know. have more static? Is that really happening right now? My God. We do have static. My God. Oops. What an annoying thing to have to deal with on the 46th show. You'd think we'd have this all sorted out by now, but nope. But one thing that it definitely could be is the fact that when all of these programs are running at once, it can drain the battery. But for some reason, it drained the battery way more than I thought it did. And like 10 minutes before the show started, I realized I was like 50% battery life, which is when it kind of starts freaking out. So I tried to charge it as fast as I could. I mean, you know, I turned everything off and then turned everything back on again and gave it a little bit of time to just kind of sit there without any programs running. But I could try to restart the interface. But we all know what that will do. Actually, I mean, I could turn down the volume. Let's see how bad this issue is here. Oh. I mean, I could turn down the volume. Yeah, it's not bad static. It's not too bad. Well, we'll play another song, and if the static is so bad that you want me to restart the interface, I will warn you next time. I will also turn down the volume so that it won't make that loud noise that it made. We're not going into chipmunk mode, are we? Well, we'll play another song, and if the static is so bad that you want me to restart the... No, we're not in chipmunk mode just yet. But yeah, the one thing that I do have to figure out is how the video and the audio can sync up better. I think that has to do with my video capture card here. And maybe the fact that I'm trying, maybe I should dumb it down to like 720 instead of doing it at 1080, because it definitely slows the video down and lets the audio just do what the audio does. The audio is in real time, it's the video that's slowing down. Well, moving on. This next song is called Hero to Myself. It's one of those songs, one of those either super late night songs or early morning songs where just kind of feeling down and wanting to write a song to make myself just kind of, to explain myself, explain why I'm feeling so down and make myself hopefully feel better with a nice sad song. And I don't think the song itself, you know, if you read the lyrics, is explicitly sad per se, but you know, you can glean from the chord changes and emotiveness of the song that, you know, I was in a deeply introspective space. This song is called Hero to Myself. Hold on a second. I got carried away in your comments a little bit, as one does, and I forgot the lyrics. I give to you a little piece
promise me you won't hold on to it too long, 'cause this heart of mine was meant for moving on. I've never been the one to put my dukes up and fight, 'cause I've never met a dog whose bark was worse than his bite. I'm trying to do right, I try with all my might, but nobody knows this but me. Oh, no one here knows this much more than me. People often ask me why I do this to myself, so I often dodge the question. I say I do it for my health. The answer is much deeper here than I'm willing to delve, but nobody delves deeper than me. Oh, no one here delves deeper than me. Take all your judgments, save them for someone else. My psychology is no mystery, and my worth is not your wealth. I just need a friend to help me, and a friend who needs my help. A hero is all I really need. Oh, hero's all I ever wanted to be.
Devin McClive. Hey, Devin. Devin and I got to spend a little time yesterday seeing each other through glass as I was recording her cello parts for this album that I was telling you about that goes only to the patrons of Patreon. So sign up on Patreon for $10 or more and get the album in hard copy for free. And everybody that signs up will at least get a download code. Devin is also participating in Dry January along with myself. I haven't had a drink in 2 weeks, 15 days. How about that? That's a lot for me. And it feels great. I don't miss it one bit. There hasn't been a single point where I've been like, man, I need a drink. And there have been a lot of things that have happened, mostly out there, in the world that normally I would say this calls for some sort of a alcoholic beverage, but not a single time have I thought to myself that that's something that I need, and it feels good. And most people, like, when they stop drinking, they like to say to me, like, oh man, you sleep so much better, and you start dreaming again. And I always think to myself, like, I have the craziest dreams when I'm drunk, and I sleep like a baby. And I can't tell you that my sleeping has necessarily been any better without drinking. This isn't, if you know, there are a lot of bad things that come with drinking for sure. But I do miss the drunk sleep and some of those dreams. But I also like waking up in the morning and feeling refreshed, and my voice feels and sounds great to me when I sing, and I get things done at night because I'm all wound tight all day long and all night long. Usually the drink is the finish line of the day where I can be like, and my day is done. And at this point, I will melt into the couch. But no, now I'm like, odd end things. Can't get my brain to turn off. Lots of great song ideas. But moving on. My point was, Devin is doing Dry January with me, and we're both doing a great job. So this next song is called Birds, and this song wasn't really necessarily one that I ever figured that we'd play live. And Devin actually is the one that always says, why don't we play Birds? Let's play Birds. And for some reason, it just doesn't click for me as a live song as much. I don't think the lyrics necessarily mean as much to me as other songs that I like to sing. And but then, you know, a lot of people have come up to me and are like, oh my God, Birds is my favorite song. And I'm like, oh, that's great. But I'm thinking in the back of my head, why Birds? But then, you know, over the last year of doing these live streams, I have kind of realized the sweetness of Birds, and kind of it's a very delicate song. It's a very sweet song, and the lyrics aren't so explicit. It's that I think anybody can kind of get what they need from this song. They can use the lyrics and turn them into something that has to do with their own lives, and I've been told as much by certain people. So I've found a new love for this song over the last year or two. Oh, Bonnie. One show someone requested it right as you were strapped for time, so you did it as a double time solo. Yeah, I remember that. That was fun. I'd saved some money, had some paid time off, had to get away to get my jollies off, so I left as quick as I could. But when I came home, I'd realized I'd left the lights all on. The heat was blasting and the windows were all open, and it was letting all the cold air in. And as I looked out, I could see them all atop the hill, about to fly up away to some far off land, flying high above the silly drama all these humans have. And I wish I could be more like them, flying overhead. Oh, eyes laid up, my bones were broken and my pride was hurt. I should learn to keep my big mouth shut. Oh, I screwed up. I can't admit that now that I'm laid up, immobilized and praying that someone would come in and shut that open window that keeps on letting that cold air seep into my bones. And as I looked out, I could see them all atop the hill, about to fly up away to some far off land, flying high above the silly drama all these humans have. And I wish I could be more like them, flying overhead. Oh, sweating all the small stuff makes the tough times even tougher. There are quotas to be met and competitions with one another. Stress can be a motivator, but also an instigator. So I will keep it all locked down so it can kill me someday later. Oh, I don't know what the hell we gonna do this for. Sometimes I wish I could just fly out that open window and let the wind take me where it wants me to go. Oh, as I fly
be flying high above the silly drama all these humans have. And I will be just like them, flying overhead.
And that's Birds. And moving on, this next song is called Glory. And this song was written originally as a punk song from my punk band Perfect Machines. And we performed it a few times. And then the band broke up. And I held on to this song, and I held on to it through, obviously, These Same Chase Will Lead Us to Victory. And when we were recording These Same Chase Will Never Die, I thought, it's like, I should bring Glory out of hiding, because it really lends itself to that kind of folk genre, the do-da-da-do-da-do-da-do-da, instead of like do-da-do-lit. And it is a song about kind of looking back on those glory days of being a punk teenager and going to underground venues and people's garages for little tiny punk shows of my friends and other traveling bands. And I feel like it explains that life pretty well. That feeling when you're in a show where just like everybody's adrenaline is just pumping 100%. You're just all in on this. I mean, you're down for the cause for this one song, and everybody's just, feeling the emotions, and the sweat is not only just like all over everybody, but it's pouring off the ceilings, and the bathroom's overflowing, and the people are, the taps are all broken, and I don't know, it smells like animal, just raw punk rock, endorphin flowing, teenage energy. It's just, man. Those old punk clubs were really, I wouldn't step foot in one now for fear of getting some sort of bacterial infection, but when you walk into them as a teenager, you definitely feel that you've come to some space very sacred and very special, and the feelings that you have in there, it's better than church, I'll tell you that. But this song is about all those things.
Harder than a wrecking ball, the heat is tearing down these walls. The blood and sweat is pouring from the tap, it's overflowing. This body's pounding broken bones. The world could end, we'd never know. Music's getting louder as our hearts all beat together. Oh, we came for the glory, we came for the fall. We came with a fight in our hearts, gave it our best shot. People doing what they want to do, and nothing here is good for you. There's something reassuring on these bridges that we're burning. No one here wants to believe that there might be no way to leave. No one wants to show it, it's a trap, and we all know it. Oh, we came for the glory, we came for the fall. We came with a fight in our hearts, gave it our best shot. Oh, 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 oh. How could you really blame us in a world where nothing changes? People need to know they're doing something that will keep them moving. So we built them a house and wrote them a song and burned that midnight oil, doing everything wrong. And we feel invincible. And yet deep in our hearts there must be a part of something that we're doing that's right. We came for the glory, we came for the fall. Oh, we came with a fight in our hearts and gave it our best shot. Oh, 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 and that's Glory. There's a music video for Glory on YouTube if you haven't seen it, that we shot at Left Space Studios back in 2013 or 2014, somewhere around there. Now this next song I see you guys naming off some kick-ass punk bands. You know, the lead singer of the Dwarves actually lived near me in San Francisco for a time. And he'd walk down the street on his way to get coffee some days. That was kind of cool. The Perfect Machines actually recorded at Fat Mike's recording studio. No Effects lead singer, Fat Mike, right before we broke up. And Glory was probably going to be one of those songs that we put on that next album that we were recording there. So this next song has a funny origin story. I wrote this in 2012, or maybe, yeah, or 2011. And it was during Obama's second, or coming towards the end of his first term, and the election was going on between him and Mitt Romney. And I remember watching the news a lot around that time. And I just would look at Mitt Romney and saw him, I don't know, he just seemed so transparently trying to play a role that he wasn't super enthusiastic about playing. And he seemed to be catering to people that he didn't really necessarily respect or agree with, but he felt that he had to pivot in this direction in order to get the votes that he needed to be president. And I thought that he did a really bad job at it, at being that person. And you could see behind his eyes the kind of moral struggle that he was doing, that he was having. And every time he'd speak and he'd say these things that were like, you know, kind of derogatory towards the other side, or you know, inflammatory language that he probably would never use otherwise, that he, I don't know, it just made me sad to see him do that, because a lot of politicians, you can't really see that part of them. They have an ability, they have a good poker face. But he felt, halfway through that campaign, he just seemed really stuck. And
So I remember watching the news with my guitar in my hand, and I started writing this song to Mitt Romney. Did I say Mitt Romney? I said Mitt Romney, right? Or did I say Newt? I didn't say Newt Gingrich today. I feel like Newt Gingrich's name is on the tip of my tongue, but I meant Mitt Romney. Maybe I did say Mitt Romney, and now I'm ruining the story. But I was sitting on the couch and I was strumming the guitar, and I was watching Mitt Romney speak and say empty platitudes and be fake, and I felt sorry for him, so I wrote this song to kind of like be like, you're losing the battle of being yourself. And so I wrote this song for Mitt Romney, but it's not necessarily about Mitt Romney. It's about realizing the parts of ourselves that are universal in everyone. It's kind of about realizing that the person that you're fighting against is just as gentle a spirit and soul and body as you are. And we all have flaws, and we all have battle scars, and we all have to, we're all trying to work on being a better person. And we have to give each other more of that benefit of the doubt when we find ourselves in situations where we're working actively against another person. After a while, this song kind of morphed into a song more about me, but it started as a song about Mitt Romney. And definitely think about Mitt Romney in 2011 during this first verse.
Keep running, the body's burning within your gentle bones that you keep hidden from the world. There are millions, so keep smiling. The world is watching. In those eyes you see reflections of a boy whose head is swelling from delusions. Take your time as you took mine. You're not the only one who's here to save us. You may be strong, but your strength is useless. So take a breath, what you hold is precious. Just like the rest, you're just as helpless. I'll keep strumming the tune I'm humming. It's the only thing that lifts my spirit above the beers and cigarettes I keep around me. I sing loudly and keep laughing. And all crack wise is a disguise to hide the weight my spirit puts upon my body. I'll take my time to write this line. It's important to remember all my friends who see me through kaleidoscopic lenses. They are the artist and I'm their canvas. Just like the rest, I'm just as helpless. Oh, 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 We're not the only ones who are here to save us. We may be strong, but our strength is useless. So take a breath, what you hold is precious. Just like the rest, we're just as helpless.
Inspiration comes from the strangest of places, you know. One moment you're watching Mitt Romney be a fake and plastic politician and realizing just how full of shit he is. The next moment you're writing a song about how we're all just gentle little spirits trying to make our way in this crazy 3D carbon world, you know. But good music does tend to pop up from those strangely inspirational moments. When I said The Color of Bone was the oldest song, I think that maybe Wild Child might be older. They were written pretty close to around the same time. Because I think I was in the backcountry when I wrote this song. I was either in the backcountry or I was like freshly from the backcountry and I wrote it at home after the fact. But it's about, I've, you know, in my younger years, spent months out in the wilderness, backpacking around and growing my hair long and getting a nice tan, losing weight, hardened skin and mind, and, you know, just hippieing out in the woods. Lost in the woods, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, finding a different you in that wild ancient landscape.
I left my body in the water, my mind was floating on the wind, my eyes were staring at horizons from the valley walls within. There's a mountain top to climb to feel the sky rest on my bones and taste the water that's returned from the rivers far below. So get lost, little soul, it's just a thought, so throw it off and let it grow. I watch it stretch beneath my feet for miles, and I'm howling like a wild child. Oh, this time I'll go it alone. I got time on my hands, the clock strike 5 upon my face. The day left impressions on my skin, the cool night air will soon erase. There's an evenness and flow in places man can never go. There's a promise of tomorrow, whether we're there to see the show. So get lost, little soul, it's just a thought, so throw it off and let it grow. I watch it stretch beneath my feet for miles, and I'm howling like a wild child. Oh, this time I'll go it alone. This time I'll go it alone. So trace each pace back to soul. It's just a thought, so throw it off and let it grow. I watch it stretch beneath my feet for miles, and I'm howling like a wild child. Oh, this time I'll go it alone.
And we're coming towards the end of the line here. This next song is Adam Eads' favorite song. If he's still here, he might have gone to bed. He's in Italy. I believe he's in Sicily right now. Oh, there's Adam Eads. Adam Eads is an old friend of mine. Actually, Rock Bottom is partly his fault. Rock Bottom never felt so good. It's partly his fault. And one time, I believe we were driving in the Mojave Desert for New Year's, and we got on this kick of this joke saying that everything is the David Ortiz of something. So, you know, if something is like the best of the best, we were just saying it's the David Ortiz. Like these gas station nachos are the David Ortiz of gas station nachos. And now, it might not be that funny to you guys right now, but when you do it for 12 hours straight on the way from San Francisco to the Mojave Desert, at a certain point, it's hilarious. And we kept that joke going for a good long while. And so I see Adam Eads saying, "Play Cold Night. It's the David Ortiz of Sam Chase songs." And that makes me chuckle. Calls for cigarettes, oh, it calls for whiskey drinks, and it calls for no regrets. It's gonna be a night where all the girls don't know just who they're up against, and all these peaceful weekend warriors, they've all gone off to bed. And I need a long night like I need a rope around my neck. I'll be swinging from the rafters before it all comes to an end. Even though I count it as a loss is better than no bet. But I'll always be a betting man, even when they stack the deck. Whoa, 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 oh. It's a cold night, and I should take care of myself. It's not until I hit the bottom do I worry about my health. I could be burning like a flame while I am chilled down to the bone, and soaring high above the rooftops while I'm sinking like a stone. And I need a long night, I need to get this off my chest. It's not for picking up the pieces, it's for throwing out the rest. Tonight we've got a point to prove, we're not too old for this just yet. And what's the point of being a better man when you can never be the best? Oh, oh.
skin's a suit of iron to protect a soul that's made of stone. But my heart still pounds a war drum rhythm as it rattles in my chest. And I'm standing on the front lines watching the sun rise overhead. And I needed last night, I may need it again tonight. 'Cause I am a solitary warrior fighting a solitary life. So I'll see you in the morning, and I may have stories to tell. These nights may be the stuff of legends, so let's make legends of ourselves. Oh, Thank you, everybody. You're all the David Ortiz's YouTube live stream chat people. One day you'll be the David Ortiz of audiences, and we'll be all together for the David Ortiz of shows. And that song, also was one of the songs that I didn't play live very often because I didn't realize that it connected with people so much. And it wasn't until I was playing a solo show a handful of years back, and some guy came up to me before the show, and he's like, "Are you going to play Cold Night tonight?" And I was like, probably not. I don't know. I haven't practiced it in a while. And he's like, "It'd really mean a lot to me if you did, because that song really saved my life and brought me out of a very, very deep depression. And I'm, without that song, I don't know if I'd even be here right now." And that caught me off guard. I had never expected that, a song of mine could have that sort of effect on somebody, and also could be that beneficial for them. And I was touched by how him sharing that with me. And so I went backstage and relearned the song and played it that night. And since then, Cold Night is probably one of the songs that people come up to me and talk to me about the most. And I get it. I definitely get it, It is a song about pulling yourself back from the brink and moving forward and finding, it's like celebrating what you've got. Life is epic in all its forms, and you're legendary and you don't even know it. That's kind of what that song's about. So this next song, you've probably heard the story of this song. But this song was written about my very first childhood memory. And it's funny that this memory stuck out to me for so long. It's like that this one made an imprint that, if I close my eyes, I can remember the whole memory. And I must have been 3 or 4 years old, maybe 5 at the most. But I was in preschool for sure. And my dad picked me up from preschool after school one day, and he had this Pontiac convertible, this red Pontiac convertible, and
we were driving across the Golden Gate Bridge because I think we were going to go into the headlands or something. Just going on a drive. It was a nice day and the top was down. And so we were just going to go have a little day after school before we had to go home and make dinner and all that. And I remember as we were driving over the bridge, looking up and seeing the sky and seeing the bay over here and the ocean over here. And I leaned over to my dad and I was like, Dad, you know that last night I flew over this water here. And my dad was like, really? Tell me more. And so I told him that in the middle of the night when Mom and Dad were both asleep, I climbed out of bed and I walked over to the window, the second-story window of the house. I opened the window and I jumped out the window and the wind caught me and pushed me up into the sky and I flew over the city and I floated out into the bay and I floated over the Golden Gate Bridge and I started flying out into the ocean and I got a little scared. So I doubled back and I turned back and I landed at the beach. And at the beach, it's very far away from my house. So, but, you know, I was a resilient little 4-year-old, and I walked all the way home in the middle of the night and scaled up the house, climbed in through the window, and went back to bed. And my dad was, first off, super angry that I had snuck out. No, but he was like, oh my God, what an incredible story, Sam. And I was like, but Dad, please don't tell anybody, because if you tell anybody, they won't believe you. And so he didn't. He was like, I won't tell anybody. And then years go by, and my dad and I were driving down to Southern California for my great aunt's birthday. We were going to surprise her at her birthday party down in Southern California. We're driving down the exhausting stretch of road known as Highway 5, leading down between San Francisco and Los Angeles, and we were sitting in the silence, and my dad leans over to me at one point. He says, you know, do you remember there was this time when you were a little kid and we drove over to the Golden Gate Bridge and you told me you flew over the Golden Gate Bridge? And I said, yeah, I do remember telling you that. And he was like, well, you know, I just want to let you know I haven't told anybody. And I was like, well, thank you, I appreciate that. And he was like, and I also want to tell you that I still believe that you actually did it. And that really touched me. And so that was another memory that kind of ingrained itself alongside the other one. It was kind of like, you know, in the same file folder. I put it in there together. Then years go by, and I write this song, you know, kind of hearkening back to that first memory. And I decided to play it at a show that my dad was at. Tell that it touched him, and after the show he came up to me and he said, Sam, about that song of yours, I just want to let you know that I kept that story a goddamn secret for 20 goddamn years, and then you go and write a song about it and blab it to the world. Sorry, Dad. It had to be done. Some of the best songs are written about a son betraying his father's trust. But without betraying my dad, this song never would have been written. So, no regrets. This song is called Old Blood, and really what it's about is acknowledging that spirit that lives inside you, that is the same spirit that was there when you were a small child, that childish imagination and spirit that kind of taught us to be the imaginative and resilient human beings that we are, how different we all are, how we think differently, our talents, our skills are all different skills and talents that all stem from, you know, building forts in our living room and, you know, pretending that, you know, the backyard is some jungle safari, you know. Our imaginations are so much more important than we give it credit for. And it's not that our imagination morphed into like this 9-to-5 job that we have or anything like that, or our creative outlets or, you know, the things that we call them today. It's still there, you know, and you can still access it. If you want to just act like a baby and roll around on the floor and just, you know, pretend that you're, you know, a snake slithering through the grass, you could do that. Your kids might laugh at you, but hey, you know, that'll be a memory that they'll hold with them too, and maybe they'll write a song about it or paint you. Maybe they'll become a famous painter and they'll paint their parent just slithering around on the living room rug like a snake. I think that my first memory, I couldn't have been more than 3. I flew over the city like a bird. Or maybe it was just a dream, a physical impossibility. But back when I was 3, I was so sure. I was the wind, I was the clouds, I was the sky. I was the childish dreams I hoped would never die. But now I sit and drink my wine, getting older all the time. And now I wish I could still spread these wings to feel that old blood flowing in my veins, flowing through my veins. We'd hold safaris in the backyard bush, our mansion made from couches, cushions, and everything was fine while we were there. The basement was the Grand Bazaar, the hallway Sunset Boulevard. We smoked cigars from a deck of playing cards. I was the mover, I was the shaker, I was the man. I was 1,000 things I didn't understand. But now I sit and drink my wine, getting older all the time. Now I wish I could still move and shake to feel that old blood flowing in my veins, flowing in my veins. We wrote symphonies no one would ever hear. We lived a world that never was and never is. But if it all came from within, how do I get it back again? And how do I know where I'm going if I don't know where I've been? We'd hoist the sails of our sinking ships through optimistic chance. We'd let our presence known to the cold and salty air. Our legend lasted longer than our reign, how we were masters of the seas before we sank beneath the waves. I was the wind, I was the clouds, I was the sun. I was the wolf, I was the chase, I was the hunt. But now I sit and drink my wine, getting older all the time. Now I wish I could still spread these wings to feel that whole blood flowing in my veins, flowing in my veins, flowing in my veins, flowing in my and that's old blood. It's funny, there's this riff in the middle. I was thinking to myself as I was playing it, the reason why it made it into this song, it was a riff that I wrote a long time before I wrote the song, and I was living in Santa Cruz, and I was living with my friend Sam Scott, and I was just dicking around with the guitar one day, and I started playing that, and he was like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful riff I've ever heard, teach it to me. And he didn't play the guitar, but I taught him how to play it, and he practiced, and he could play it pretty well. And so when he'd pick up a guitar at a party or at someone's house or something, he'd always play that riff. And funny enough, he was the one that was in my car when my iPod was on shuffle and heard Color of Bone for the first time. And he was the one that chimed in when I got back in the car and said, "Is this you? I want to hear more of this." And so when I wrote this song, kind of as a little homage to him, a little callback to our friendship, I put it in the song. And when I recorded the album, put out the album, he heard the album, and he called me, and he was like, "You put the riff in the song, man! That's awesome!" And so Sam Scott, because we're both named Sam, I called him Link, and there's many other reasons why I called him Link. And if you listen to Lee Sam Chase Hella Solo, the song for Link is also another riff that he really likes. This riff. And I taught him this riff too. So when I put it on Hella Solo, I called it Song for Link. So he gets 2 songs. Adam Eads gets a couple songs. Link, Sam Scott gets a couple of songs. But that brings us to the end of the album. And this song really wasn't ever really a song. So Devin was over at the house, or our tiny little apartment back in the day, and we had practiced and worked on songs for the set, and we were drinking, talking, telling stories, and I just started kind of playing this riff, and she picked up her cello and just started playing. Stopped for a second. I was like, hold on. And I just reached over to my computer and I pressed record, just like QuickTime, like opened up QuickTime and just pressed record, recording through the computer mic. And we just riffed for a few minutes. Something just about that moment, I don't know, we were just kind of on the same wavelength, we didn't need to say anything like, let's riff on this song, it just kind of poured out. And it's not perfect, it's not a perfect performance, there are a couple of bum notes in there, notes that we didn't mean to play, and you can hear us kind of breathing. We just kind of sat there in the silence for a while, and I was so happy that I recorded that beautiful moment, and I was going to hold on to it just as a little band practice beautiful moment. And so when we were recording the album, we were going to end on Old Blood, and it just didn't feel like the end of an album to me. Like it was just not, it wasn't ready to end. So I thought to myself, like, what about that song? And I called it Quittin Time because it was the end of band practice that day. And so I pulled out my computer and I gave Kyle McGraw the file, as raw as it was. And he was like, this is a pretty raw file. And I was like, yeah, I like it that way. Make it more raw. And so he put some effects on it to make it a little bit more raw, and then added some reverb at parts and made it swell in and out, It was kind of a meditation. And that's the version that ended up on the album, is just the version that Devin and I played at that band practice. And And after Kyle and I listened to it, we both sat there in that same kind of quiet that Devin and I felt when we recorded it in the first place. And Kyle was like, "That's the end of the album." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the end of the album." And that's the end of the album. So, next week, we're doing Great White Noise, cover to cover, doing the whole album. This has been fun. I've really enjoyed actually revisiting these albums, and getting a chance to go back and listen to them has been a lot of fun, and especially the songs that I don't play very often. And it's been great to hear how you guys feel about the album too. Feel free to share, this video with folks, and also if you guys feel like tipping today, send a tip to the Venmo or the PayPal. And we'll reconvene next week for Great White Noise. It's been a lot of fun. I've really, really enjoyed this. I can't believe we've done this 46 times, and I haven't gotten tired of it yet. So, yeah, it means a lot to me that you guys all still hang out and still blow up the comment section as much as you do. I love it. I know that sometime this year, I think that things are going to pick up sometime this year. It won't be like it used to necessarily, but it's gonna be a renaissance. I think that the musicians are going to be in top form. The fans are going to be in top form. Like, everybody's just going to be so excited to be there that it's going to be a beautiful thing. I can't wait. Well, I will see you all next week. Let's see if maybe perhaps I could leave you with a music video. So, and hopefully next time there won't be any issues with the electronics here, because I'll have a brand new interface and preamp. So, and it'll sound way better because of it. So, I'll see you all next week. Let's see if this In a Perfect World music video works. Yeah. It does not. Man, I wonder, is my voice moving? It probably isn't. I wonder if that's a way to trick it into coming back. Actually, I'm going to see. Let's see. It's about to turn from white to back to me. It does not. Oh my God. I wonder. My vocals are back on. Moving? It probably isn't. I think that's a way to fix the vocal lag. That's pretty cool. Let's see, I want to see what your comments say. I want to wait to see what you guys say about the vocals. Well, I'm sure you'll comment. I'll find a video for you guys here. Here, you know what? I recorded this song around the same time that a lot of these songs were written.
Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion. I wanna walk in the open wind, I wanna talk like lovers do, I wanna dive in the ocean. Is it raining with you? So baby, talk to me like lovers do. Walk with me like lovers do. Talk with me like lovers do. Here comes the rain again, raining on my head like a tragedy, tearing me apart like a new emotion. I wanna breathe in the open wind, I wanna kiss like lovers do, I wanna dive into your ocean. Is it raining with you? So baby, talk to me like lovers do. You walk with me like lovers do. You talk with me like lovers do. Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion. I wanna walk in the open wind, I wanna talk like lovers do, and I wanna dive into your ocean. Is it raining with you? Oh baby, talk to me like lovers do. You walk with me